What they show you on TV, like, is just like, it's just a facade. This is why, like, I hate, not people, but you feel me? Like, it's just a facade. Because when the cameras stop rolling, oh, Ellis, well done, your daughter's gonna be so happy, and all this shit. And then it's like, you got a 6-pack deal, 40 bags, and then like cameras come off, and it's like, them man know that they ain't signing me. Certain tendencies that autistic children or people have, like, they very sensory, like they might do this. And like her language kind of like changed. Even when she's saying certain words, like you could hear the struggle. Like it used to be yellow and now it's yayo. And now the speaking is like very, very limited. Even my cousin off camera, like sometimes he'll be driving with his son and his son's just in the car talking, and when I'm driving with my little one, it's like she's not really telling me about buses or something. So it's just like, yeah, it's not day to day, it's not easy. One interviewer asked me, oh, but do you have the dog in you? And all this sneaky stuff, and I'm just like, is it because I'm not like shouting and jumping that guys think I'm soft? I don't know. I just want to be remembered as someone who's real, genuine, authentic, sincere, a proper person, not a people pleaser, not a plastic person.
All right, welcome to Unibet One-on-One, and today we're going to meet the man behind the mask of Zorro. God, I had to. I'm so sorry. I'm with Unbeaten Cruiserweight, Ellis Zorro. How are we, mate?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having us, and again, apologies for the joke, but you'll forgive me, right?
Yeah, I mean, people have been onto me about this mask of Zorro thing for time, innit? Saying that I should use it and whatnot, but I didn't want there to be like no confusion, because people still ask me to this day, like, oh, is that your actual last name? So I'm not coming out in a mask and doing all of that, not a sword and all them things. Nah.
It is your actual name, though, right?
Yeah.
No messing. Where does it all come from? What is your what is the makeup of this man?
I believe like the name was made up. I believe like my granddad and that kind of, there was a little situation there, but my dad's Nigerian. Okay. I'm not sure it was like originally my dad's name, if that makes sense, surname, but I believe it was like changed or made up somewhere along the line. But I don't know like a whole heap about it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's not delve too deep into that. But so I want to know the man, as I say, the man behind the mask. But I want to know more about you, like pre-boxing. What was early life like growing up? What was a young Ellis Zorro like? How was your sort of early life, early days?
I was a happy child in my early years. I grew up in Catford, Ladywell, Lewisham area. Lived with my mum and dad until I was about, I was 10 years old, I think, or 11 years old. And yeah, energetic, very active. Very energetic, very happy, very loving as a child. Mum and dad separated when I was 10 years old. And I think since then, not even since then, but between then and maybe my late teens, there was like some dysfunction in my life or whatever. And that's when, not things went wrong, but you know what I mean? That's where certain things like spiraled out of my hands a little bit. But as I was coming up, I was a happy child,
Parents splitting up though when you're 10.
Yeah.
That's a bit of trauma, though, right?
At the time, obviously, I didn't really know, but as I've gotten older, I've seen certain like, certain things in my character, if that makes sense, or my personality, or just like certain things that I've picked up or carried that. Now that I had the maturity to understand, I put it down to a lot of that. Yeah.
How do you mean?
Just like little rejection and little things, little voids that I've tried to like replace in other things, or some like self-esteem or some self-esteem issues as a teenager. A lot of like unaddressed emotion, a lot of anger. Not so much now, but definitely.
Because you seem like well chilled now.
No, I've gone through it. Like I think I've gone through it all. Like I've left a lot of that. But I always say that I would have been a different person if I was boxing when I was like 17, 18. Yeah, or like when I was in school, like my latter years of school, was a lot different to how I am now. Yeah.
What, like angrier?
Yeah, just like, not even like I was angry, but like angry, I was just like emotional. And anger is an emotion, you understand? But I didn't know how to like control my emotions very well. And obviously the one that people would see would be anger, yeah.
So, all happy, everything good.
Yeah.
10 years old. I'm just trying to build the picture here. 10 years old, your parents split up, and what happens there? Did you have to make a decision between mum and dad? Like, how does it work?
A little bit, that was
That's
how it
mad,
went. Yeah,
mate.
yeah, yeah. So I had an older brother, he was like, what, 15 at the time. And he went to live with my mum. Me and my dad stayed together. They sold the house. Me and my dad went to live with my dad's friend, which was, yeah, it was long. It was long. Then me and my dad went to get a place together. Still in Catford. I got kicked out of school for a bit.
How old are you?
I was 14. Yeah.
Sort of year 10.
Year 9. Year 9. I got kicked out of school. Got in some trouble with the police. Left my dad's because I was getting in trouble with certain things. Went back to my mum's. Got kicked out of the school again. I
love the irony of a siren in the background, just as you're discussing this.
So I chose to stay with my dad. But I just think like not being with my older brother and his group of friends, which were my group of friends, but they were more his. Everything kind of, like my dad was working long hours, so I was kind of like left to my own devices so much, just so to speak, like inside the house and outside the house, like after school times. And yeah, not even hanging with the wrong crowd. Like my area kind of has a reputation, Lewisham, Catford, at that like early night, like in the 90s and 2000s. So yeah, I was getting involved in certain things maybe that I shouldn't have, and just trying to fill time, basically. That's what it felt like at the time. But yeah, it was very like traumatic when the family split up. I feel like that's the last time I was genuinely happy, was when mum and dad were together. So when I was about 11. Yeah.
But you've been happy since, like.
I have moments, but it took the wind out of my sails a lot. Yeah, 100%. And I think even since then, certain things have happened to like other traumatic things around my family, or even outside my family, in my own life, to where people say I'm chilled and whatever. It's just like, I feel like I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Like nothing can make me too hyper, nothing can make me too sad anymore. I'm a little bit numb towards certain
I sense that from you.
Yeah.
You've got this numbness, and I wondered where it had come from, where like nothing can sort of phase you, which I guess is good in your profession, right?
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, but I used to be the complete opposite. I used to be very sensitive and emotional around everything. And then just one day I think it was just too much, like basically, and this is the effect that it's had. Yeah.
You got kicked out of school at 14.
Okay. Yeah, so I got kicked out of school in year 9, and then I got kicked, and then I went back to live with my mum, and and then I got kicked out again in year 11.
What was you up to? What was you doing? What sort of madness is going on here? I mean, you probably don't want to give away too much, but
I was like robberies. Got in trouble with the police a few times for like number of robberies. I don't want to say I was in like any like gangs like that, but we had, you all have groups of friends and you just get up to stuff maybe that you shouldn't. You've heard the stories before, I'm sure. It wasn't like crazy out of control, but it was enough for me to like, I was underage and police were finding out, so it was coming back to my mum and dad, basically. But yeah, robberies, not even like loads of fights outside of school, to be fair. Just mischief, man. Just nonsense. Yeah.
Product of your environment.
Basically. Like even, I can't even tell you why I was doing it, really. I think like with the family breaking up though, and like not living with my siblings, and then getting kicked out of school, you're looking for like a belonging.
Yeah.
And then all your other friends, their family split up. Everyone hates school. We're all just pissed off and angry, and then we're all together. So
angry
like you
kids.
find like a collective with them lot, it's dysfunctional. Yeah.
Well, this is it, isn't it? This is what tends to happen. Kids look for a kind of group setting, and then they end up in gangs or whatever. I'm not saying you're in a gang or anything like that. But what made you sort of get hold of yourself in that situation?
Because I wasn't really like a bad child. I never really had bad intentions. I think my downfall was that like I was very, very like sensitive and emotional. And like I said, it weren't always like anger. I could get extremely down, extremely sad and depressed at times. So when I would feel away, before I had the discipline or the self-control to like control my emotions, I would just act on them. But I never had bad intentions. I never wanted to be like out on the road doing madness. Like I was raised good. Like my brothers are not like me. I haven't been involved in stuff. No one in my family has been involved in stuff like I have. My dad, yeah, but yeah, I'm a father's son in that sense, actually, to be fair. But yeah, I never wanted that, if that makes sense. And I think my mum helped me quite a lot, to be fair. Like when I got kicked out of school the second time, the school embraced me back in, and then I moved area. She moved me out of, I wasn't going Forest Hill Boys. She moved me out of Forest Hill Boys. I went to a school in like deeper Bromley. And yeah, like having them friends in my new school was kind of like a positive impact, if that makes sense. Like, helped me get my GCSEs and whatnot. And then when I got my GCSEs, it was like, right, like, I can actually do something.
Yeah,
you feel me? And then I did my A-levels.
Man's clever.
Literally, because prior to that, like, I didn't really... I had no idea.
You didn't know what you was going to do with your life, where you was going or anything?
No.
Did you have any sort of early role models? Were there people that you looked up to, or are these the sort of the friends group?
No, I had no role models, not even them. Like, I knew we weren't doing good stuff. There's always like athletes and footballers that I guess I looked up to, but not on a lifestyle thing, just that, he's a good baller, or rah, you feel me? So, yeah, not really any role models, no.
So your sort of mindset in your teens was sort of like an emotional kid, bit of trauma.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you were.
Yeah, basically.
And then you went to college.
I went
sixth
sixth
form. A-levels.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm getting my A-levels, like, and then somehow I got my A-levels, and then somehow I ended up at uni. But I still carried that thing where I didn't know what I was gonna do. When I got to uni, I was just like going because like I know it made mum happy, so I was just there really. But I had kind of, what was that, 18? I think when I was at 17, 18, I'd proper like distanced myself from a lot of the badness that I was doing. Yeah, I think by this time I was 17, I was fully finished, actually. Yeah.
Was there a moment where you did completely leave, I guess, the roads behind you? I don't know, where you, you know, these encounters with the police?
I think the police thing was like just long because, like I said, when you're younger than 18 and the police are getting involved, it's like police are coming to your house, and like I said, my family, my siblings ain't bringing no police to the house or no badness to the house. It's always me. That didn't make me like feel very good, if that makes sense.
Was there any particular moment?
Yeah, my mum found some stuff in my room. Yeah, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, and just like I was 17, I was old enough to remember like how she felt about it, if that makes sense. And then I was just like, but I was just ashamed and embarrassed. Yeah, if that makes sense. So yeah, got rid of the stuff, and then from there I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna do that anymore. But physically, like I said, because I'd moved area and I'd moved back into my mum's, I wasn't at my dad's. I was going to a school /sixth form in a different area. I wasn't forced to be around the people that I was around prior. Does that make sense? So even physically, it made it a lot easier to not be caught up in certain things. Yeah, wow. I haven't really spoke about this in a while, actually.
Would you give that young Ellis Zorro any advice? Like this chilled version of Ellis Zorro now? What would you tell that kid?
The actual younger one?
Yeah, what would you tell that kid?
I don't even know, Dev, man. He wouldn't even listen. Yeah, he wouldn't really listen. But things have turned out good for me. Like, I got a lot of friends like that are not so like they don't function very well anymore, or even I got friends that call me from jail or whatever, and I'm like, it just could have been, you feel me, like it really just could have been
a couple of wrong steps here
and
there.
Like one wrong decision or one wrong move, it really could have been, it could have been myself. So yeah, things have turned out well. I feel like I'm in me and my cousin always used to talk about it off camera. It's like, even the fact that I got to uni, like, because I used to worry about what am I going to do after, and it's just the fact that I'm in uni was like a win for me, you feel me? So
but you got like good A-levels as well,
yeah,
didn't you?
yeah, no, I did. I got AAB, I got an A in business, an A in sport, and a B in sociology.
Man's walking around with an A in business. That's, I mean,
and I'm there, it's like, what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah.
No, it was all good. Things have turned out quite well for me. Boxing, even outside of boxing, that I can do stuff. Like I've learned how to like hold down the job and stuff like this. That again, coming up, a lot of my peers can't do, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So you must be quite proud of yourself, though. Like, do you take a moment to like be like?
I am now because I'm bloody talking about it, but I don't normally like talk or think about it or ponder on it too much. Like life just keeps moving. Yeah. So yeah, but I am. When I sit and pause, I am. I am for sure.
Well, tell us a bit about how boxing came into your life, because I've been listening to a few of your interviews, and I think like it sounds like you've had a bit of an on-off relationship with boxing, where you've been toying with doing it as a proper thing and leaving it. And
I think it was the age that I started. So I actually started. I must have been 19, 20 at university. I think I was in my second year, 2013. And I had I just don't know what I was going to do at uni. But I knew I was athletic, if that makes sense. Just went to like a fitness boxing class. And I was like, right, like I'm actually good. Like had a bit of rhythm, timing, coordination and whatnot. One thing led to another. I had an amateur fight. I won that in 2013. Mum had me under a lot of pressure when I graduated to like get a job and work. You know how mums
That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Exactly. So that pressure was there from mum. Yeah. So I kind of went and flirted with like loads of different jobs, but I never really settled. Even when I had like the good jobs that were paying well, like office jobs, and I think I needed to do the office jobs just to be like, raw, this is not what I'm trying to do, like forever. I think I was working in HR actually, and the money was good. But HR is like the worst office job you could ever. And I was struggling in there. I was struggling to socialise with them kind of people, if that makes sense. And I think my mum saw that.
How do you mean that? Like them kind of people? I mean, what do you mean, like just office bods?
Yeah, just office bods. Like I wasn't interested in them or that.
Small talk. How's your weekend?
Oh, Dev.
Morning. I hear you. I hear you.
So yeah, all of them. So yeah, basically I went back to, I don't even remember the timeline of it now, but I went back to boxing. I had 2 more amateur fights, so that was 3 in total. Then I was like, no, I'm going to do the boxing thing. And then the Alliance and the ABAs and the amateur boxing split, so with only having 3 fights, it was quite difficult to get bouts. But I was training at Miguel's with Ted Bammy for a very short period of time. Ted Bammy was there, Isaac Chamberlain was there, Richard Rapport was there,
top boys,
Chris Congo, and they was all pro at the time. I think maybe like 1 or 2 and 3-0, and they were like better than me, but like the level wasn't crazy. And I was like, oh, like they can go pro, I can go pro. Why am I messing around with the amateurs? So I turned pro. 2017 December. I had my debut with Steve Goodwin. I remember me and my cousin, we went to Steve Goodwin, and he just weren't really like. Because we had no idea what we was doing, innit? Like, what we went there, didn't know nothing about management's contract, didn't know nothing about tickets. I was like, oh yeah, I can sell tickets, I'm sure. I'm gonna just sell some tickets.
Got loads of mates, mate.
Yeah, like one of them ones. Literally, we just had no idea what I was doing. And he was kind of giving us that look where he's like, not really taking us seriously, innit? But yeah, just one thing led to another, man. Like, I was trying to get coaches to work with me for my debut, and no one really wanted to work with me. Like, I was reaching out to a lot of these coaches. So I worked with like my amateur coach for my first few fights. Yeah, and somehow I'm 15-0. Like, it's just one thing led to another, literally like that.
Something you
but
mentioned
it hasn't been like easy.
No, exactly.
Nah.
And something you mentioned there was like, oh, he was looking at me like not taking me seriously. Coaches didn't want to work with me. It sounds like it's been a bit of a theme in your boxing career so far. Where do you think people haven't taken you seriously? Yeah,
and I don't know if this is like how I come across, but even when I'm saying something, when I know I'm being serious, or I believe in what I'm saying, it's like I feel like just talk is just irrelevant, because like I've sat down in front of people, I've said these things like, raw, like just give me a trial. Like I remember saying to bare coaches, give me a trial. Just like weren't taking me seriously. Even like some of my earliest performances, if you look on BoxRec against who I was fighting in like my debut, which was my 4th ever fight in my life, amateur and pro, he was like 2 fights prior, a journeyman, but 2 fights prior, coming off fighting Wadi Camacho, who was the Southern Area champion. But I think where Goodwin didn't know how to view me, like my calmness, or just didn't know how to.
What do you do with this 25-year-old cruiserweight who ain't saying much?
Yeah,
I guess it's that, right?
He ain't saying much, but like he couldn't. Even like when I was performing in the ring, it's like I don't know if he knew what to make of me. Some people that are good like that, they don't know what to make of them, if that makes sense. It's just like, oh, it's just a fluke, or you understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how seriously Goodwin took me, but I did get 9 fights with Goodwin, which was good. Small hall shows, you know, if you sell tickets, you're active, and I was very active with Steve Goodwin, so I'm kind of like grateful to him for that.
Were there any points within that going to 9-0 and feeling that people weren't taking you seriously at times where you thought about just walking away from it?
No, but it made me like really bitter towards boxing, man. Like even stuff that I'd gone through after that, like I used to reach out to people like for interviews. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, not like big time.
Now you're trying to kick me out. Yeah.
Not even that, you get my point. It's like,
yeah.
So now it's like, I feel like I know that people don't care about you until you have something. Do you understand? And I feel like that's been like the narrative from day one. Like, I don't really find like many people are like genuine. So I don't want to like make any friends in boxing, or I don't want to really talk to anyone, if that makes sense. Yeah, bare thing.
It's been challenges.
Bare things, man. Yeah, a lot of like people messing me about and wasting my time. Do you understand? So now I'm just kind of like, I just do what's best for me, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to please anyone or anything like that.
At what point did you feel comfortable calling yourself a boxer? And like, if someone says, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" "I'm a boxer." When did that happen?
I think when I guess when I went full time, like when I stopped working, I think that was when I had my first fight on BT, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. This is before the boxer.
Fight 10? Fight 9? Fight 10?
10. Yeah, fight number 10 with Martin Bowers. David Adelaide's undercard, I believe. Chris Ball got COVID, and then I went on there, and I fought, and I got a second round stoppage. I think then, first fight on TV, I think I got $6,000 for that fight or something like that. First kind of, prior to that, what was I getting, like £1,000, £900. Yeah, I would say then. Yeah.
Big moment then. You can say,
I'm
a boxer.
It was, yeah. I was saying, not that anyone was asking me, but
sure.
It's just one of them things. Yeah, in myself, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in the right place. Like I'm in the Peacock gym. Got a British champion here. I got WBC International and Chris Borg over there. I got Louis Lin. He had the title. Like I'm in the mix now. Like where I want to be. So when I signed with Martin, and I was around them names and them people, and I was, shaking hands with these people and meeting Frank at dinner shows and whatever the case was, I was like, yeah, like this is where like I've kind of wanted to be, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And then you entered the boxer tournament.
Yeah, entered the boxer tournament. Well, I had a fight.
How do you look back on that? Because like obviously the whole thing was you win that, you win your 40 bags, you get a contract with Sky, and you know what's meant to happen there. But how do you look back on it? Because only some of that happened for you.
I feel like it was a kind of a good opportunity when it came up, because I had my fight on BT, and then I went from fighting on BT to fighting on a small hall show. And I was kind of looking at Martin, if I'm being really like honest with you, Dev. Yeah, I was looking at Martin, I was like, why, man? I just got a second round stoppage. Okay, it was a journeyman. Got a second round stoppage. Like, why am I not? I'm 10-0. There's no other cruiserweights in the Queensberry stable who have had more than like 3 or 4 fights. Like, why am I fighting? Why am I selling tickets again on small hall shows? Like, but it was just like, didn't really have anything to offer, if that makes sense. Didn't have a title or whatever. So when the boxer thing come up, although it was a risk, because it's like anything can happen in them kind of fights, 3 rounds. I was like, look, I've got to take it, like for my profile. And if Sky offer me something, I've got to go and take it. And mine was like, yeah, okay, cool, let's enter it. Entered, won, and I thought I would be in a good position, if I'm being really honest. Like I thought like Sky gonna want to offer me something, Boxer gonna want to offer me something, Frank's gonna want to offer me something. Like Sky didn't offer anything, nothing substantial. Like they said they can't sign me because they can't offer me like a 6-fight deal. I think it was a 6-fight deal, 40 grand and a 6-fight deal. They can't offer me that. I don't know why. Maybe I'd had too many fights. What was I by then? 14-0. It's like, how do you give me a 6-fight deal? That will take me to 20 fights. What's that going to look like for them financially? You got Richard Riakpo and all these other guys over there. Yeah, so when they didn't sign me, it just felt like another kick in the teeth, man. Although like, I was with Martin, I was in a good place. Going back to like amateurs and people not wanting to work with man, and then selling tickets, and then
Because you must have thought, well, this is it now.
Yeah, no, I thought I was gone. I thought I was home dry still. Yeah, I thought I was home dry, but it didn't turn out that way.
Why do you actually think that was then?
Well, understand. Martin is a straightforward guy, and we had the guy from Sky on the phone, and he was like, look, like in the contract it does say like we get to make the decision, but on TV it's sold as.
Of course. Yeah.
I was fuming. I was very, very, very angry. I was very, very angry.
Was that the last time you were properly angry? Because you say like nowadays you're pretty...
Yeah, no, I'm calm. Like I was just bitter. When I say angry, I was just bitter, man. Like I wasn't like raging, but I was just like pissed off. Because that was the security that I wanted. What they show you on TV, like, is just like, it's just a facade. This is why, like, I hate, not people, but you feel me? Like, it's just a facade. Because when the camera stopped rolling, oh, Ellis, well done, your daughter's gonna be so happy, and all this shit. And then it's like, you know, you got 6-pack deal, 40 bags, and then like cameras come off, and it's like, them man know that they ain't signing me.
Phone ain't ringing.
Phone's not ringing. It was sitting there for time. And again, I got to, like, not apologise to Martin, but I was looking at Martin like, why ain't they contacted us? Bruv, it's mad. So yeah, signed Frank. But I was always trying to sign with Frank from before the box office. That's why I was with Martin. Yeah. Because that was the thing. But obviously the opportunity came up to go, signed to Frank, and then had the fight with Dec Spelman, and now we're here now.
We'll talk about the Spelman fight shortly, but after you won the tournament, I think you touched a lot of hearts by saying that you were going to spend the money on your daughter, and it's just like it didn't sound like something that you contrived and scripted to say and get some press.
I saw the feedback on Instagram, and it was mad, but in the moment I just had the 3 fights, so I was just happy and just like what was on my mind at the time. That's just like a genuine thing again. I'm not even built like I couldn't do that. Like say something not that fake or that's not genuine.
You'd be surprised how many are.
I know, but this is why I don't like. Do you understand? Because there's a lot of people that just say anything, can do anything, or just shake anyone's hand, and I just can't do it. Like where I'm from, it's like how my dad raised me to be. Like I just can't like do that fake stuff, man.
So tell us about your daughter then.
It's challenging. She's 6. Now we're in a good space. Like me and her mum are in a good space. Like she was at a normal school, a mainstream school, for reception, but it just like she wasn't cutting it, if that makes sense. And going into year 1, where things get a bit more challenging, where you got to sit down and read and write and whatnot, is like we needed to get her into like a special school. We tried to get her into a special school. There was no space for her until January. School term starts in September. So there was them 3-4 months that she was being homeschooled. So that's where some of the money was going towards.
Your partner's a teacher, the mum's a teacher?
Yeah, she's a teacher as well. So she's in a mainstream school, in a separate school, so she's always at work. So my mum was helping. My daughter's grandma was helping look after her while I'm going to Essex every day. And we had one-to-one tutors going around there. So that was kind of stressful, because you want her to be in a school, you want your daughter or your son or whoever to be like getting on with things, and things were like a bit rocky, if that makes sense. But yeah, come January, she got her space in the school, so we thank God for that. And it's kind of sweet, like the school bus comes and picks her up and drop her home, and someone's got to be home to receive her and whatever. But it's less challenging. Like I remember like when she was in the mainstream school, like going to like pick her up, or going to like sports days, or going to like assemblies, and like she obviously can't really, you feel what I'm trying to say, like, and then there's other parents like looking at you or whatever, like, or looking at her, and the kids are looking at her or whatever. So it's not like a good feeling like for me like that. So now I'm happy that she's with kids that are in like, you know, like her kind of similar position. Teachers understand her, and it's positive. So yeah, I'm grateful for that, where she is now. Yeah.
So on that, like what happened? Did she just kind of stop talking? Was it something that you saw coming?
Saw it quite early. So maybe like 18 months, like she was saying words, and then like responding to her name, giving eye contact, doing the normal, and then like eye contact faded. She seemed to be in her own little world a little bit. Certain tendencies that autistic children or people have, like they're very sensory, like they might do this, and like her language kind of like changed. Even when she's saying certain words, like you could hear the struggle. Like it used to be yellow and now it's yayo, and now the speaking is like very, very limited in terms of like it's not on command like that. It used to be like 1, 2, 3. Now it's just like very not now. Now she'll do that, but like I'm telling you when the transition happened. But yeah, the main thing outside of the language was that the lack of eye contact and like being in her own little world, if that makes sense. So and when I said I came out of uni and I worked a few jobs, I worked as a TA in a normal school with an autistic boy.
So you knew what
So
to
I
look
kind
for.
of knew what to look for. They send you on these training courses, don't they? So I knew kind of what to look for. My mum's been in foster care since I was like 17, so she's seen loads of kids, managed nurseries prior to that. So me and her said certain things, and then we took her to like the GP. They do a hearing thing. That's the first thing they do. They test the hearing to see if that's why the child isn't responding to you, and then they send you to a specialist, and then you get like diagnosed. I still think it's a bit young to diagnose a child when they're like that young, but this one was kind of obvious because prior to that, like I said to you, Dev, like she was quite advanced quite early, if that makes sense. So and yeah, since then this is how she's been. Yeah.
And you spending the money on her, what does that physically mean? She's doing what?
Like she gets the 1-to-1 tutor, and that was the main thing, because that weren't cheap to have like these 1-to-1 tutor, like they come to your house, and like I said, she was homeschooled between September and January. So yeah, the tutoring is it's like paying a personal trainer, like an hourly rate kind of, but a bit more. You understand what I mean? 5 days a week. Yeah.
How much are we talking there?
Like £110 an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you doing any before you won the boxer tournament money?
No, because she was in reception at that time. Yeah, so no. And it was more like, I mean, I had £110 before the boxer thing, but it was like we didn't want to start something.
It's consistently
yeah,
though, isn't it?
Because especially with like autistic children or people, it's that routine, getting them used to something. You know, it's like me bringing you to training 5 times a week and for 2 weeks, and then and you stop. I didn't want to start something that I can't finish. So yeah.
And are you seeing the sort of the improvements? Are you seeing literally the kind of
yes?
Yeah.
It's slow though. It's very slow, and I think that's because of, I guess, what autism is, and just her age in general. Like normal children, like it's the thing. I don't want to put too much pressure on her because she's got autism, because she's still like a child and still developing the same way me and you developed when we were children. I'm just kind of like happy, or more content, should I say, that she's in an actual school placement, because when she was homeschooled, it wasn't easy, man. It wasn't nice. That's not what you want for your, do you know what I'm trying to say? Even my cousin off camera, like sometimes he'll be driving with his son, and his son's just in the car talking, and I'm driving with my little one. It's like she's not really telling me about buses or something. So it's just like, yeah, it's not day to day. It's not easy, but it is what it is. It's kind of all I've known, if that makes sense. So when I see other children doing other things, like, oh, rah. Not like, oh, children can talk or children can do this. Like, you know. So yeah, but things get better. So she's happy and she's safe, and that's my main like concern.
100%. I guess when you are seeing little improvements, and you are seeing her more than anything happy and safe, it must be quite rewarding for you knowing that what you've done sort of in the ring is helping her.
Yeah, like even when I moved into my new place, like I done up her room or whatever, like I got pictures of me and her in the room or whatever, like got little sensory toys that she likes and little keyboard piano thing that she likes to go on. So yeah, like that's a feel good factor, and I wouldn't have been able to like do that without boxing, without the boxer, without Dec, without Hosea. Do you feel me? Like without this platform. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful. I don't really know how to like. I don't know, like, there's a numbness I have towards certain things. Like, I remember when she was diagnosed and I was just in the, where was I? I was in the clinic, and I was just like, oh my days, like, I don't know, sometimes in life it's just felt like one thing after another. There was issues when she was born, and she was in a incubator. She was in that. So yeah, just from day one, it's just been like stress and headache and a bit drama. So yeah, sometimes I'm numb towards things.
It feels like you're heading towards light now.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, for sure. Like things are definitely getting better. Like things have been much worse. So yeah, no, I'm happy and I'm grateful. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about present day. Present day, you're back with Mickey Burke as your trainer. Tell us about this.
So I was with Mickey from my 5th fight. Mick was probably my first proper coach, amateur and pro, that I guess taught me boxing. I was with him till I was 9-0, until I went to sign with Martin Bowers. When I left, I didn't leave here to find a new trainer, but it's just the difficulties in boxing. It's like some trainers train and manage as part of the package, and I needed like... It
was COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was COVID, and I needed to... it was just after... When did I go to Martin? Whenever Dubois lost to Joyce, it was like the next month.
2020?
Whatever month that was, it was like right after that. So I went there, and that was the package deal, train and manage. And even outside of the deal, it made sense. You know, like, since I've gone to Peacock, much better like sparring that I get, the names that walk through the gym, like much more, you know, even like interviews, seeing how guys above me work, like Dan Aziz comes in the gym a lot once a week. Obviously, Denzel Bentley, Louis Lin, Chris Borg, just seeing how they do things in the lead up to a fight that I hadn't seen at this current gym. So I needed that kind of exposure. Martin introduced me to a lot of people, like I said, a lot of good sparring that I've had down there. And just the mindset of the gym down there, it's like when you're in the gym, you don't know who you're sparring that day. Like, guys just walk through the door. And I hadn't had that, if that makes sense, and I kind of needed that exposure. But like I said, when I moved house, just before the Dec fight, I moved further away from the gym, and just getting back and getting to training was just too difficult. Yeah, it was like 90 minutes each way. And
long.
Yeah, long, and then not so much long. Like when I come back, I'm not just like going to bed and resting.
But it's the stuff you could be doing when you're at home.
When I'm at home, or when I'm around, like helping my daughter's mum just arrange certain things, if that makes sense. Like in the house, outside of the house, just being a bit more present. Does that make sense? Like things are a lot more flexible for me here. Some days I train at 9 in the morning. Some days I train at 2 in the afternoon. Depends what I've got going on outside. So yeah, so it's like even days where the school's been on strike, if I need to be somewhere, I can be somewhere. I can say, look, Mick, I'll train in the evening, or I'll train really early morning, so I can go and... Because with my daughter, everyone's got to because it's difficult to do the childminding thing, and so everyone kind of pulled together, like my siblings, her aunties and uncles on the other side. Everyone's got to pull together and kind of help out where they can. And I just didn't have a good feeling about being one of the main parent, like mum and dad.
This is when you was at Peacock.
I'm just like never available. Wasn't a good feeling for me, if that makes sense. And yeah, like I said to you off camera, it was becoming a little bit, since I moved house, being further away, it's becoming a little bit of a chore sometimes getting over there. And this is like nothing to do with Martin, nothing to do with the training, nothing to do with anything like that. It was just about, there's just not enough hours in the day for me, if that makes sense. And the pressure it was putting me under to get over there, sit in traffic, and then come back, sit in traffic, and yeah, it was just easy. So it's just easier being here. And since being here, I've been like a little bit happier, got a bit more out of myself, to be honest with you. Because I'm happier outside of the gym as well.
More family time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, little things like that. And sometimes I'll get back and give her dinner, and before you know it, I've got to go and do a run again, or I've got to go and do my second session. Like if I'm in camp or something, and it's like I ain't really seen her all day, or like the pressure of like her mum having to do all the work. I'm looking at that from afar, just thinking I don't like that. If that makes sense, yeah, it's not a good feeling.
A lot of these sort of conversations wind up back with your daughter. She's is she the why? I mean, it sounds kind of corny and cheesy. Everyone has their why in boxing.
Yeah. Generally, yeah. Obviously, when I'm in the ring, I just don't want to get beat up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
but yeah.
Talk to me about this Dec Spelman fight then, because it was like it's one of the best fights of the year. It was a cracking fight. It looked like you were just cruising, and then you knocked him down. It looks like you were going to get him out of there, and then he didn't go. Talk to me about it.
I think the Dec fight was, I said about my career and sometimes how it's been. I think the Dec fight was the first time I looked at myself and I said, you should have done something different. Like, you should have done better. I don't know, subconscious, like, I didn't expect Dec to be so strong or so tough. I know he's never been stopped properly and whatever, other than Anthony Yard, but like, I just thought like, he's a light heavyweight. I know I'm not like a Lawrence Okoli or Richard Riakporhe in terms of size. Like, I'm not a massive cruiserweight, but it's like, I'm a cruiserweight. Didn't expect him to like get up after the body shot.
Tough guy, innit?
Yeah, no, massively tough. It was surprising, and I feel like I dropped him, I think, in the first 20 seconds of the 4th round. Then I spent the rest of the round, like, the next 2.5 minutes trying to get rid of him. And I don't think that did me no favours the way I tried to go about doing that.
Did you
in
guess?
Round 5,
Did you guess?
yeah, in round 5 I was gassed. In round 5, I was trying to have a rest round. And he was bringing it back, putting it on me. So, no, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. And I won't be, like, making that mistake with Hosea regarding the weight thing. Does that make sense? I won't be looking at him thinking, oh, he's just a light heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so.
Did you need that fight?
I don't think I needed it, though. Like, I think other people needed it, because even when I won the Boxer and all my other fights, I think stylistically I just look quite relaxed the way I fight, kind of thing. But like, when I went to Peacock, I was having them kind of spars. I was having them kind of spars with Dan Aziz. I was having them kind of spars with Dorian, if that makes sense. I was having hard spars with Ross Warren. I even had one interviewer ask me, oh, but, you know, do you have the dog in you? And all this sneaky stuff. And I'm just like, is it because I'm not like shouting and jumping that guys think I'm soft? I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird. But I think, like I said, I proved to people that I can give it, I can take it, if that makes sense. But looking at where I want to go and what I want to do, I was like, you've got to do better. If I'm going to go where I want to go, I've got to get rid of Dec.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first fight after winning the Boxer. You announced me really well that day. And I feel like I should have, I should have just got rid of him in the 4th round. You know, I should have performed better. I'm a big boy, I'm a fair guy, and I'll say, yeah, like, I should have done better. I'm not sitting here like, oh, I only had 3 amateur fights. Dex was former English champion and all this rubbish. Like, no, like, I should have got rid of him, if that makes sense. Like, in that moment, at least.
You're also not one of these guys out here screaming and shouting on social media, because you could be. There's so many cruiserweights in the country, right? You could be tweeting them every day. You could be, chasing them down corridors. We've just seen fighters do that as well.
Who did that?
Martin Bacoli sticking it on Dillian White, and then Dillian White told him to come upstairs, and then he didn't go upstairs. It's quite funny. But you haven't got that in you, have you? Or have you? I don't know.
The boxing thing is, look, going back to the upbringing thing a little bit, like, the boxing thing is a little bit, like, none of that stuff is real. You know, like, press conferences, it's like face to face, like, where a lot of us are from, it's weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, staring at our next man to see who's tougher and who's stronger, having a boxing match with like rules and gloves. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a sport. So where I'm like, it's a sport. We're all good guys. Some have had harder backgrounds, but we're all doing boxing because we want to do good things with our lives. We want to make our lives good and positive. It's not real. Like, we all shake hands after fights. It's just business, Dev. Is what I'm saying. Like, no one really wants to take it there. I don't feel. Does you understand what I'm trying to say? So yeah, I'm not going to be doing all of that. And since I joined Martin and understand that, since I joined Queensberry and Martin, I was like, sometimes fights aren't made. Like, people think fights are made on social media. Like, there's other stuff that goes on. Do you know what I mean? Like, negotiations and money, and there's like obviously a business side of it. So the social media thing is just like one aspect. Does that make sense? So yeah, I don't really have that in me. Like, it's in me, but I don't really like see the need to do that. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Hosea Burton then. May 12th, he's the next guy. He's another guy who's stepping up from light heavyweight to cruiserweight. He's had a few fights there now as well. Yeah. Tell us your thoughts heading into this one.
I guess most accomplished fighter that I would have been in the ring with is a step up in terms of his achievements. It's a step up from Dec Spelman. Dec Spelman was former English. Hosea is going to be former British. I've had 15 fights. I think he's had 30 or 31. 28 wins. So he's more experienced. He's a good boxer. I don't anticipate the same like dog fight that I had with Dec. I expect more of a boxing match. And that's all I know so far, to be honest with you. That's all I'm really like anticipating, if that makes sense. I'm not really. There's not much else I can go off unless you can.
Yeah, I mean, he said he thinks you're taking the fight too soon.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I don't know if he's like looking at my. I don't know what performance he can look at and say, oh, looking at that one, it's too soon for him to fight me. I don't know if he can look at any of my performance. I don't think anybody can look at my performances and be like, he's not ready for Hosea Burton. Physically, or like even on a skill to skill thing. I don't see where that's come from. I guess it's coming from like BoxRec and him having like double fights than me. But like skill for skill or physically, I don't really see like, where's that coming from?
Well, he also says that he thinks you've been sort of made to take this fight. He's not the sort of opponent that you'd pick. You've just Frank's made you take it, kind of thing. These are the comments I've heard him say in an interview.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. Hosea wasn't on my radar. I don't know if he thinks that means I was afraid of him, or which is not the case. I rate him, but I don't know really. I don't really know how to respond to that. I don't know if he believes in that. I don't know if he. I saw the interview. I don't know if he genuinely believes that I don't want to fight him, and this is being forced on me, and I'm in this position, and oh God, how am I going to get out of this position? I don't think he really believes in that. From even listening to the interview, I don't think that. But it's interviews. Everyone's got to say something. That's what he's saying. So I'm just like, all right, cool. We'll see. And
you're not into it, are you? You're not into
it's not that I'm not into it, but I don't. It doesn't matter. Like, we are gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? We are gonna fight, and he's gonna have to make me respect his skills, and vice versa. I think he'll be surprised at how good of a boxer I am. I think he'll be surprised at how hard I can hit when I hit him, and how tough I am when it's time for me to take my licks, if it goes that way. So I think in every department he will be surprised. He probably is looking at me thinking, oh, 15-0, like I haven't had the names that he has maybe had. Although I have the sparring, but sparring is sparring, and he's probably sparred great fighters himself, being Tyson Fury's cousin. That's cool. But I think he'll be surprised. Yeah, I think he'll be surprised by my skill set more than anything. Yeah.
You talked about your power as well. Do you think you can hurt him in there?
Yeah, I think like, we're both like 14 stone. I think we can both hurt each other, but... And this isn't the thing about coming up from like heavyweight. I just feel like I don't know who... I will be the hardest puncher that's hit him in 10-ounce gloves, for sure, for definite. And that's not but he's fought at light heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a puncher, if that makes sense. Not saying I'm a Deontay Wilder, but I'm not a puncher. And I feel like, not saying I'm going to knock him out with one punch, but he will be surprised at how hard I hit when I hit him. So that's it. If he thinks it's too soon, let's see.
Well, it looked like you were going to get Dec Spelman out of there within 4 rounds.
Yeah.
It looked like it. Do you think you'll get Hosea Burton out of there? Is that the plan? Make a big statement?
Yeah, I want to make a statement. I'm not like set on what round am I going to try and get him out, but yeah, a statement. I feel like if this fight goes the distance, I've done something wrong. If this fight goes the distance, I've done something wrong. Because the way I view and that's not like because he's been stopped before, or because he's coming up in thing. I'm just looking at him, and for my own, not pressure, but my own, like my own evaluation of my own skill set.
And your ambition.
And my ambition and ability. It's like, I'm not going to look for the knockout, I never have, but if I do everything I can do, I should get rid of him. Definitely should get rid of him, yeah.
Where do you place yourself in this cruiserweight mix in the country?
It's a good question.
There's been a few.
So again, few question. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of good fighters in the cruiserweight division that I feel like are maybe not I don't know, ranked or viewed by the broader audience as being as good as they are. It's kind of like Lawrence, Richard and Chris, and that's it. I think there's other guys that are up there that don't get attention. I feel like I'm ready to prove that I'm up there, is how I want to answer your question. Where I place myself without doing certain things is gonna be just a waste of time for me to say right now. But yeah, I think I'm up there. I just think I need to like have these 10 rounders, because the difference between like Lawrence and I guess everybody else is that Lawrence has fought more 12 rounders than anybody else. I guess the difference between Richard and someone like myself is that Richard has had more domestic dust-ups. He's had these names, the Sam Hyde, the Chris Billings, Tommy McCarthy. He's had these kind of names. In terms of ability, there's not much. There's not much difference between a lot of people. I'll be honest. Like Jordan Thompson, good. Vidal Riley, very good. But he's not fought for a title. He's not had a 10-rounder. But I feel like he's better than some of them guys that have. But it's just like haven't had the chance to prove it. I feel like I need to make a statement to not just the other cruiserweights, but to myself after the last fight. Because based on that fight, although it was a good fight, them guys would have got rid of Dec in the 4th round. He wouldn't have like come back at them like that. Do you understand? And that's just real talk. So I gotta just prove that I'm on that level. But winning this title will open these doors for me. Do you understand? To get them fights and yeah, to push me on a level.
Where do you see this journey going? A lot of people just say, I want to be a world champion. I want to get there. Do you think that's realistic? And is that the goal? And what have you actually got in mind?
I think it's realistic at the moment because there's so many titles at the moment.
True.
I'm not in like a welterweight division where you got Terence Crawford and Errol Spence and these kind of animals. Like the guy like Richard is about to fight for a world title. And I've seen Richard from the amateurs at the Lynn. Like, I know him. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, Chris Billings is about to fight for a world title. Same thing with Lawrence. Like, you see the whole thing with Lawrence? I know he went to GB, but another late star. We don't have them, like, Floyd Mayweathers and Usyks in our division right now. The goal is, like, financial freedom and, like, aside from everything else, yeah. The goal is to provide a good life for little one and stuff like this, but 100%, I'd like some legacy and whatnot, but yeah, it's definitely achievable in my weight class. Yeah, like I've still got like although I'm 30, I haven't really been boxing for a long time. I ain't got hardly any miles on the clock. I'm still improving. I don't really feel like I'm in my prime yet. There's still a lot about the game that I haven't like experienced and encountered. Like I'm far from on my decline. Going back to the Hosea Burton thing, I'm just like, are your best years ahead of you or behind you? Do you understand? Like, so when I'm saying he's saying that it's too soon for me, I'm just like, are you talking about the Hosea Burton that won the British title, or the Hosea Burton of now? At this weight, like, do you think you're gonna come up here and be British champion as a cruiserweight? I will be the first cruiserweight that he's really fought. I think he's had 2 fights at cruiserweight, hasn't he? And I don't think they've been, proper opposition in that sense. I've been cruiserweight, sparring heavyweights and big cruisers for like a while now. So, yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's wrap it up with this question I always like to ask at the end. How does Ellis Zorro want to be remembered?
Ooh, in boxing?
Whatever. In life?
I just want to be remembered as someone who's real, genuine, authentic, sincere, a proper person, not a people pleaser, not a plastic person. In boxing, I'd want to be involved in good fights throughout my career. The guys like Mike McCallum, James Toney, they're kind of like, they fought everyone and they put on good fights. And if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. And you come back and you go again, kind of thing. Like they're the kind of guys that I want to be remembered as that, if that makes sense. I would like to be in those good domestic fights with all these guys from Queensberry, guys from Boxing, Sky, whoever else is out there. Yeah, DAZN. So yeah, I'm eager to. But again, Hosea Burton.
Hosea Burton.
Yeah. Even fights with him, like he's a name. You know, he's
Yeah.
recognised in the sport. He's achieved good things in the sport that a lot of people will never achieve. And so yeah, he's not like a no one, and I'm not like looking past him. I just want to go out there and put on like a career best performance, basically. Yeah.
I love it. Look, thank you for letting us pass the mask of sorrow today for a little while. Ellis, pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Dev.
it.
Thanks for coming
Cheers.
down. Cheers.